Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Back Log Banter. This is the quest for the bestest. We are ranking, Godfather today. Wow, we're off to a great start, guys. But you know what? I think that's how it should start. For a great movie deserves no introduction, an incorrect introduction, even. I don't know what I'm saying, but we're going to be talking about Godfather today, which is a Best Picture winner and one of those movies that people say is good, allegedly. We've got the boys here to talk about it and see where it compares to the other ones on our quest to find which of the best pictures is the best. Of the best.
Yes, nail it.
And so today we're talking about Francis Ford Coppola's 1972 Godfather classic. Godfather classic. I meant gangster classic.
A gangster crime classic. Now, Tucker,
the mob film that started them all.
Yeah, Tucker, you typically aren't a fan of crime films, so
no. One might say I don't like them.
You might say that. Do you want to kick it off with your thoughts?
I might as well. Someone's got to start.
Someone's got to do it.
I've talked a lot. Might as well keep it up. The Godfather is a very, very good movie. It is one of my
take.
It is one of my favorite crime films because I feel that it doesn't focus on the aspects of crime films that I don't enjoy.
Crime.
But this is a lot more of a family film and an interpersonal relationship.
Let's clarify.
It's about a family. The idea of the Corleone family being such an entity in this film. That's what I meant. But I do like this film a lot. I don't like it as much as most people do, just owing to the fact that the crime genre does turn me off in certain places, and I do think this movie is too fucking long for its own good. But hey, that's just my thoughts. I've got three other fuckers here who probably disagree with me.
So here's what's interesting, right? You guys have seen this film before.
All of us
seen it twice.
I've seen it twice now as well.
This was my first time watching it. And unlike Tucker, I fucking love crime cinema. I'm a big Martin Scorsese fan. I love Goodfellas. But I fucking love Goodfellas. Love it. I don't want to talk
it's a good movie.
I don't want to talk about it. Here's what I want to talk about, though. I want to talk about the fact that leaving Godfather, I would not pick that to watch over Goodfellas or a lot of other crime cinema I have seen. However, I think this movie, and I've been cooking this up for a little bit because this review has been played a couple days. I've had time to stew, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
This film is a lot like Vito Corleone himself.
Interesting.
Wow.
How might that be?
It's got a big presence. It takes up the room. And what it says very deliberately. It's a very deliberate film. But I think that much like how Vito Corleone gets a little bit decrepit as the movie goes along, I think The Godfather as a film on the whole overstays its welcome just a little bit. And there's one part in particular that I'm sure we'll get into. I was talking to Tucker a little bit about this part. But I think that is an incredibly tense film. I think it has sequences that are basically unmatched. I think when Michael arrives at the fucking hospital is excellent.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the horse head in Waltz's bed is excellent. I think that the murder of the police captain and the other guys, I forget their fucking names, but there's so many sequences in this movie that are just excellent. And it's excellently acted and excellently shot, but it just, I think, could have been a lot tighter.
Sure, I
agree.
I disagree.
Long movie McGee over here.
I love long movies, and this movie
too.
is 3 minutes shy of 3 hours. So I think that the pacing of it, in that it's slow and it takes a long time, you gain so much intimate knowledge and a connection to these family members, to everyone, there's a bajillion characters in this freaking movie. And by the end of it, you know them all. You know who died, you know about the people who died, you know about what they like, what they act like. And I think it just works really well. I think the film is excellently edited. I think the editing, like those sequences you talked about, they're so just like, they have so much power in how they're presented. And while the film is long, I think it has a really long story to tell about this drawn out story of the feuds between these families that is being shown through specifically the through the Corleone family. I think it works really well at its length. I wasn't ever bored during the movie. I never thought about turning away or anything like that. It had me the whole time.
Yeah.
And it did the first time I saw it. This is the second time, so.
Yeah. I sort of fall somewhere on the spectrum between Timo and Abram there. I think that, yeah, it's fantastic how it weaves these intricate these relationships between the family and also the larger crime syndicate outside of the Corleone family. Originally, my first watch through, my only criticism was that there was a bit too intricate, but having rewatched it now, I'm able to put those together better. But yeah, I do agree that specifically between the scene of, well, I think it's.
I mean,
when
let's just face it. There's some like truly memorable moments.
Yeah, of course.
The baptism scene is like,
oh,
Fucking
what
perfect.
the heck? Like, how do you make something that good?
yes. But I was going to say the scene between when Michael returns to America and basically, yeah. There's a scene like towards the around the beginning of the third act, the scene-to-scene editing, it slows down a little bit. It feels like you're chugging through there just to get to the conclusion of the film. The highs of, like you said, the baptism scene, which is, again, immaculate. Love that scene so much. And yeah, there's so many other great scenes and so many other great character interactions. But I think who this movie belongs to is Al Pacino as Michael Corleone. I think this is his movie. It's a performance piece for him, and it's into the Best Picture or Oscars thing that the show is based around. It is criminal that he was not even nominated for Best Lead Actor.
Yeah, that's weird.
He's
Even
great.
as someone who, honestly, I would say for me, this is a Marlon Brando movie. I definitely prefer the Vito performance over the Michael performance. I do think it's more iconic, more impactful. But still, I love Al Pacino, and his Michael portrayal is fantastic, regardless.
I think his best sequence comes in the part of the film I would cut.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting because here's some of the thing. Like Timo was saying, I also like a good long film. I love Blade Runner 2049. I like to drink in a nice slow-paced film. And I think that that Godfather is serviced by its length in a lot of ways. I think that the fact that you're able to have an extended sequence with Michael's son and Vito when he dies, that is elegant. And I think the movie excels when it has these exceedingly long sequences that really unfold, and they feel very lavish. And one of those is the one that I think is superfluous, which is, I think that it was referred to in the writers' room, the quest to see Apollonia's tits, because everything that happens in Sicily is fucking pointless, except for the amazing sequence where Michael is sitting back and he tells one of his bodyguards, like, go get the dad back. And they're translating.
That's my favorite scene out of that sequence as well.
Al Pacino has such a command over that scene, and you fucking feel it. You feel his confidence, you feel Michael's confidence. It's excellent. But the Sicily sequence on the whole took me out of the film. That's the part that I think could have been done away with, and for me had a more tighter and cohesive narrative.
See, I'd argue that the Sicily scene is integral to Michael becoming the Godfather, trying to succeed Vito Corleone, his father. And he's retracing the steps of his father, which we kind of see in the next film, which we'll get to eventually because it also won Best Picture. But as he's retracing those steps, you can also see how he's diverging in the personality that Vito has. Because Vito is, he's a larger than life character. He sort of amalgamates all of these. He's conniving and he's very smart and he plans things out, but he also puts family first, and he's empathetic in that way. Like, yes, he has probably ordered the murder of dozens and dozens of people, but he can still go out there and have an actual interaction with the family and friends and people that he loves. And I think that's where Michael differs from his father.
I think that this movie at its heart is a movie about character arcs. If you think about the structure of the film, in that a normal crime gangster movie is like a rise and a fall, right? Bonnie and Clyde, you see them go, you see them run up, and then you see their fall as the lawmen close in on them. But this is fundamentally different as a movie. It's a simultaneous rise of Michael Corleone to power and a simultaneous fall of Michael Corleone's morals as he drifts from this upstanding military hero, war hero, to the crime boss of the family that lies to his own wife at the end of the film about whether or not he killed a man.
Mhm.
And the Sicily stuff, I think that's all part of just this big, grand, 3-hour long character arc that the film is structured around. It's not quite about what happens. It's about how Michael Corleone deals with it and what he himself becomes as a result of all this stuff, what he has to do, what kind of face he has to put on, how he has to grow into this position into the position of the Godfather. I mean, you remember the last scene where he lies to his wife, and then he gets the men closing around him and they kiss his ring. He makes them kiss his ring, and the consigliere comes to the door and shuts it. And one of the last
Crap, we're on a cutout.
case,
Sorry guys, so hold on, Timo.
wife.
We're on a thing. Hold on. We're gonna wait for round 2 and then you can continue your point.
Okay.
Unless there isn't round 2. Oh, there we go. There is a round 2. Okay, we're back. Timo and Nelson. The floor is yours.
So you see in one of the last shots of the movie, you see the consigliere shut the door on his wife, where you saw in the beginning of the movie, like the whole family is together in the wedding scene, which is maybe my favorite scene of the whole movie. I love the wedding scene.
For me, the film has kind of just a downhill in terms of my interest for it. When the movie opens and you get to know all of the characters and you're introduced to every single one of the family members and you get to get the sense of how they connected to each other and what their personalities are, I'm really into that. And I really like the fact that it's a juxtaposition between the family stuff and the crime stuff that's going on just a room away. But as the movie goes on, and as someone who it prefers the character of Vito over Michael, I start to lose interest. I like Michael a lot, and I like his arc. But I do think that when the movie diverges away from the family aspect to focus on Michael and his rise to power and sort of brings in a lot of different groups from all the other families, and they've all got their own plans and stuff, it starts to feel a little bloated to me because I can't remember who all these characters are and who killed who. And was that character someone I saw earlier? And what did he do to another character? They all look the same. They all sound the same. And I'll be racist for that if I need to. But it really ends up feeling bloated, and I did find myself being quite uninterested in about the end of the second act. I kind of drifted off a few times, and this movie was fantastic when I saw it the first time, but in the second round, I kind of was able to notice that it's not as engaging to me once I know what to expect, especially because, I mean, all these characters just are flying by, and it feels like no one is around long enough to really make an impact.
Because for me, it's the opposite. Knowing what to expect makes it so much fun to watch the second time. I know that Horsehead is going to show up in that scene, and it's a great moment. And there's so many great moments in the movie. Like I made him an offer he can't refuse. Like all these, just like so on and on and on. That like knowing that stuff's going to come up is just super enjoyable for me. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I love this part. Yeah, let's see it again.
Well, I think that's interesting too that you say that you missed the family aspects, because I think what I really enjoyed as the film progresses is watching Michael build his family then with Kay and see his son and see where his son fits into things. And I think that's why I felt that Sicily just kind of was out of place, because it felt like Apollonia was really only there as a way to progress Michael's arc. But we never even really see that. We see them drive, which I think is a really fun and heartwarming sequence, and we see them fall in love, but she doesn't get any useful lines. There's nothing about her. She could have been replaced with any other character, and that's, I think, why to me Sicily felt like, oh, it's literally just a woman that the end result is Michael's going to sleep with her and then she's going to get blown up by the car bomb, which is an excellent sequence, but then we're out of Sicily. So I like what Sicily does, but I just really didn't like the way that Apollonia was used. And then because, especially in light of what Tucker, you said that I disagree with, because seeing him build up that relationship back with Kay and his son, I think is really compelling again.
I think for me, it's just the fact that I prefer the large family aspect of the entire overall Corleone family and all the brothers working together and their relationships with their dad and things like that. And I like the actors, but I don't find that small family as compelling as the large one. So when they take the focus off of the all the brothers having their own relationships and things like that, it kind of, I don't know. Honestly, I kind of forget that he even has a son, except for when his son is playing with Vito when he dies. But
Abram, what you said about Apollonia reminded me of the fact that after I watched the movie, I read, I own the Roger Ebert 100 or some, the greatest.
So do
movie,
I.
that book,
Oh.
and so I read the entry on The Godfather just to see, what someone else thought about it, and he very pointedly noticed, and I mean, I noticed too, that just women aren't important or matter in this, and I thought, I was like, well, yeah. And that was probably a choice. And if you were to remake the movie nowadays, you'd have to find a way to make women important. But I think that it's kind of because they weren't in the time period, as just like the whole mob boss was just run by men. And so as a result, women just don't show up as particularly major or important characters ever.
I would have to agree, because especially if we do look at like the relationship Michael has with Kay and Apollonia, Kay is sort of a vehicle for another part of Michael's rebellion against the Corleone family. She's an American. She's a working woman. She went to college, and in that sense, that she is taking her own agency. And then if you look at the sort of the flip side of that coin is Apollonia, who is a traditional Sicilian woman, and had she not been killed by Michael's enemies, she would have grown up, or their relationship would have grown much in the same way that Vito and his wife is, or Michael's parents is, because you very much get the sense that she does not interfere in the affairs of Vito Corleone or the Corleone family. And if Michael and Apollonia had continued their relationship, it would have been the same deal. But what happened was Michael sort of had to go back to Kay, and he had to coerce her and drag her down into the underworld with him, as after he'd already been jaded by the death of Apollonia. And when you see that door closing on Michael, dividing Kay and Michael in the point where he's finally become the Godfather, the head of the Corleone family, she's going to have a hard time taking that traditional role of not interfering in the family. And I think that's sort of why Apollonia is treated the way she is. But yeah, you're kind of right. She is sort of like a nothing character in the way she was written.
In the first half of the movie, she's an exposition character. Totally. Yes. She's the person who doesn't know anything about the workings of the mob family, and Michael explains it to her, and thus explains it to the audience.
Yes.
And I mean, that all makes a lot of sense, and it is a period piece. And not only is it a period piece, it's also a period piece informed by the values of the people who made it at the time that they made it.
Yeah, it's a 70s movie.
Right. At the same time, coming into the film with my lens loving Scorsese's work, I think that the way that Karen informs Ray Liotta's character in Goodfellas, I think is so interesting. And I think that the dynamic that the wife plays in the mob family is really engaging. And perhaps, again, like I said, I recognize the context in which the film was made, but for me, seeing the way that women can be used in this vein of cinema made the Apollonia part feel disappointing or disconnected me from the film a little bit.
Sure. I totally understand. Like I said, she could have definitely been written to have more agency.
Or even if not more agency, more legitimate interaction with Michael that fleshed out who they were. Because like I said, the driving scene is nice, but it's a lot of side eye. It's the shot after he gives her the necklace and she's touching the necklace. He looks at her, they smile. You get little moments of it, but I wanted more after the car bomb, before he's like, hey, Kay, what if, I just pretended I never married before and let's just get back together. But I am picking on a subplot of an elegant and lavishly executed crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear people talk about a movie that I have a lot of respect for, and I certainly don't disregard its quality in almost any aspect, but that I just have such a disconnection from that I don't remember half of these things that you guys are saying. I don't care that much. I don't think about the film almost at all, and I'm noticing myself sort of sitting back and letting you guys all go in circles about all of these points that I think are very great, but that I can't really offer my insight on, because as someone who can't really remember a lot of the characters or the plot or anything, I don't know. It's really an interesting aspect of how much that someone connects to a film and how impactful your taste can be. Because while I think this is a fantastic film, will I think about it outside of the context of discussing films that people think are great? Probably not. It's nowhere near my top 200 films of all times. I don't know. I had a lot to say during Parasite, but I don't have lot to say during Godfather, because it's not a film that I care about personally.
Yeah. Brief aside from the deep intellectual delvings into The Godfather, r/movie details time. Did you guys see the oranges? The oranges in almost every scene. I pointed the oranges out to Tucker.
No, I didn't.
Cool.
No.
It's cool aspect.
Or I thought the oranges was like a thing that everyone knew about The Godfather. Basically, every time like something bad is about to happen, there's oranges at some time very very close previous to that scene.
Vito shopping for oranges. Vito putting oranges in his mouth when he's playing with his grandson.
Just before the Hollywood producer has the horse head put in his bed, there's a bowl of oranges on the table when him and Tom Hagen are sort of, having their back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to something that I loved about the film, because, I really don't have any more criticisms of it. I think one thing I loved is the way that it plays with the audience. And I think you can see that so elegantly in what I think is the best sequence of the film, when Michael's about to pull off the hip. And they're talking in non-subtitled Italian.
Yeah.
And it is so fucking tense. That sequence is
you are the police
undeniable.
commissioner in that moment, because he doesn't know what they're saying. He's like, that's Bologna is good.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know how long this has been, but unless anyone has any other big fucking points they want to whip out of their pants. Oh, Timo?
I think it's time.
Oh, you think it's time?
I want to say one other thing.
Okay.
I want to say one other thing.
Okay.
I think that the control over the mise-en-scène in basically every scene is incredible. I think that the hand that Ford Coppola directs with is just, everything you see is so ungodly deliberate, and the way everything is orchestrated feels operatic, which is a word I don't use often because I'm not big into the opera. But the way that everything...
You used orchestrated last week.
Yes. But the way that everything unfolds, I think, is just so elegant. And the only reason that Sicily took me out of the experience to such an extent is because I was so immersed in the rest of the film. Because we just move from set piece to set piece, but not in the traditional blockbuster sense that we think of a set piece now. But there are these more intimate and tighter and closer moments that unfold in the context of really interesting sequences that I think make this film so special, and is why it is so fucking quotable and so important and has lived on. Look how they massacred my boy. An offer you can't refuse. The horse head. There are so many sequences that are just timeless. This is really an incredible piece of cinema.
Yes. So should we debate the strengths and weaknesses of this versus Parasite, and then kind of blend that into our ranking?
I'm gonna put this out. This is our first time ranking something. I don't think it's a good idea to sit down and compare and contrast every film, because it's gonna get exponentially harder as we go. So here's what we're gonna do. All right. Raise your hand if you want The Godfather to be put above Parasite at number 1.
It feels... I don't know. I should have thought about this before we...
You motherfucker! That's the point of this!
I spent many minutes thinking about this after I watched the movie.
Well, Tanner, this decision is up to you.
Yeah,
but it entirely lays on you. If you raise your hand, I concede and we just put it on there. But if you don't raise your hand, then we talk.
Okay. Well,
don't just choose.
I think how The Godfather has a...
Your hands down. We know who fucking wants it.
Yeah, we got it. We're good. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I want to drag this discussion out more. That's what I love.
We've got time.
I think, yeah, we got time. I think how The Godfather has informed modern filmmaking, because it obviously was impactful in its time and after it's come out. It's widely regarded as one of the best movies of all time. I think how it's informed things. I don't think we'd have the same Parasite that we would have if The Godfather had not come out. I'm sure if you asked Bong Joon-ho, somehow along the way, The Godfather influenced him making Parasite. So
I think an important point is that Godfather is an older movie and it has stood the test of time. It is still great today. It's still as good as it was when it came out. And
yes.
while I don't doubt that Parasite will become that, I think that comparison just puts Godfather the inch above. It's a cruel comparison. It's cruel. I mean, they're both great movies. Let's be honest here. And so there's just a couple things that make me think that The Godfather is just an inch. It's by such a small margin, just a little bit better.
Sure.
Yeah. I think what it comes down for me is also the editing. You look at Parasite, a much more modern film, obviously. It's much more tightly edited, much more concise, which I love, which is something I love about modern movies. But, I'm sure that we talked about it. This has lots of great moments intercut throughout it as well. The Godfather does. And I think in that sense, even for back in 1972, I'm sure that this was edited very concisely and kept the audience interested in the story. So with that, and how The Godfather has informed modern films, including Parasite, I'm going to say The Godfather is a better Best Picture than Parasite.
Okay, well there we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I can see the grin from Tucker. We must let him speak his mind.
Yes.
We can't just silent dissenting opinions here.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, no,
Tucker?
it is only a dissenting opinion because I don't disagree that it deserves first spot, but I can't, in good judgment, put it above Parasite because while I've seen this film twice, 2 hours of it just do not matter to me. And Parasite is a film that does everything that I want out of a film. And I, unlike Abram, don't like elegance. I, unlike Timo, don't like long films. I sit there during The Godfather and I'm enjoying it, but I realize that I could be doing something much better with my time that I enjoy a lot more. And Parasite tells a more compelling story to me. I prefer the set design. I prefer the characters. Basically, every aspect of it is just like 3 notches above The Godfather in terms of equality, in terms of enjoyment. And I don't disrespect The Godfather in any way, but considering all of that, I came into this review genuinely thinking that Parasite would still be number 1 because that's how much I personally believe in Parasite. I know people love The Godfather, but I was like, hey, maybe after this rewatch and the fact that we just rewatched Parasite, people will realize that The Godfather, not exactly the perfect movie that people put out there. But obviously, that's just my personal opinion, and I was proved incorrect by a factor of 3. And that's perfectly fine by me. I need a stick shoved up my butt occasionally.
Let it be known, I would much rather rewatch Parasite than The Godfather on any given day, not just because I just watched The Godfather.
Here's what I want to say to wrap things up on. And I pardon my language, but I don't give a hoot that The Godfather is important to cinema. That's not why I put it above Parasite, because it's undeniably important. But I think, and then this is probably a conversation I have off camera, but for me, I'm not thinking, okay, this is more influential, this is more important. For me, this is put at number 1. Of course, there's only 2 spots, so context. But I put this at number 1 because even though I take umbrage with some aspects of the film, the fact that Ford Coppola sat me down for 3 hours and unfolded this incredibly complex narrative that was we didn't even talk about the cinematography.
The cinematography is insane.
That looks as beautiful as this does, with the performances that it has and the sequences that unfold, and the fact that every scene, with rare exception, is just so well put together and captivated me, and is the sort of thing I would go back and watch in isolation and then watch again in the context of the film, is so incredible. And if I hadn't started that movie at 9 p.m., I would have immediately rented part 2. I would have immediately done that because I was so compelled by the richness of the story.
The Godfather is like a long family dinner. It's like a 4-hour dinner with multiple courses that's lovingly prepared by your favorite aunt. It comes out, it takes forever. Some of the dishes are mind-blowingly excellent. Some of them aren't quite maybe what you expected or maybe aren't quite as good, but the experience as a whole is just so unbelievably powerful and enjoyable. It's just enjoyable that it makes it an excellent experience no matter what.
For me, it's like going to Applebee's because there's no better fucking place to go than Applebee's.
You know,
And here's
for
the thing,
me,
they take the time to get their chicken fingers to you, but once the chicken fingers are there and then your little quabbles out of the way and you're eating your chicken fingers, god fucking damn it, what's gonna beat it? Nothing.
for me, The Godfather is a good movie.
And there we go.
And there we have it, folks. Okay. Does anyone have any further points on The Godfather?
Let's take a look at our graph here. We can see now that
We have a graph?
Part 1. We do have a graph.
Look at it. Isn't it great?
Yes.
Ah,
The
I
Godfather
love it.
Part 1 sits at number 1, Parasite at number 2 after 2 weeks of deliberation on the quest for the bestest.
Damn.
Okay.
Tucker, this is your opportunity. You've got a layup here. What did they do to your boy Parasite? What did we just do?
What the fuck?
Your
No,
boy
we
Parasite.
already
He doesn't
discussed
What
that.
did we
remember
just
any
do?
lines.
What did we just do?
What the fuck?
It's
I have
the
no
meme.
idea. what you're
There's a
trying to-
meme from the movie. You repeat the meme.
They massacred my
Oh,
boy.
yeah, I know that. I know that meme. I'm not stupid, but I did. Okay, whatever. All right. But
I'd
I
like
think
to say
it's
that
time
I'm...
for.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I would say I think it's time for the final. You are a fucking dick. I was gonna say I think it's time to find out what we're watching next week. But if fucking,
Yeah, I agree.
but if Mr. Babblemouth over there gotta say his fucking piece. What do you want to say?
I
What do you want to
find
say? How important is
I
it?
find it.
Ah, God damn it.
I find it disappointing that we didn't do as many stereotypical Italian accents during this review. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna generate the number right now. Here we go.
How many out of we got 90?
1 out of 90.
1 to 90. The number is 45.
Oh, that's
Right in
pretty
the
close.
middle.
There's no way. There's no fucking way. Are you serious? You actually generated that number just now?
Yeah, 45. That's the number I just
What
got.
movie won Best Picture 2 years after Godfather Part 1?
Godfather
Godfather Part 2.
I'm not fucking with you.
Yeah!
Holy shit! It's real.
Fucking turn of events.
Okay.
How is this
I don't-
fucking real?
I know you might think I'm lying right now, but I hit it's 45. I wish I could screen share or something right now. It's 45. I didn't change it at all. Look.
Let's
Good
fucking
lord.
go.
Holy shit. All right, you know what? This is the best. That's the best possible outcome of this. I'm very excited to
God.
get to ones that none of us have seen or ones that I
Oh,
personally
God,
really
yeah.
like that I'm excited to introduce you guys to. But there's no better way that this could have happened. Are you kidding me? There's no fucking way.
To Godfather Part 2. Here we go.
Oh,
All right, and then we
Little
hit
sneak peek.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Yes. Little sneak peek. I don't think The Godfather Part 2 is as good as Godfather, but we'll get into it
disagree.
next week.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's a very good place to end this on. That was fun. I'm very glad that I get to have a chance to sit back and watch the three of you deliberate on something that you obviously care about a lot more than me, and we're gonna have all of those situations. Hey, when we come to something like You Can't Take It With You, I'm gonna be
Or
all over that
Africa?
shit. No, what the fuck? I haven't even seen that. Or movies that I love: The Artist, Birdman, The Shape of Water. These movies, I won't shut the fuck up. I will not shut up.
Man.
But it's good to have an
Man.
opportunity for me to sit back and let you guys deliberate, because that's how this is going to work. We're all going to have different opinions on things. And I'm very glad. This was a great second episode. Thank you very much, guys. I'm excited for next week.
We'll be back.
Yes.
We'll be back. All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Just so everyone knows, yeah.
Well, they'll never know.
Peace.
They'll never know.
They'll
never
We'll never know.
Cut the video. We're done. Cut it. Cut.
Look, Abram, I told you. Tanner's got that MF drip on, bro.
Drip. I'm dripping. I'm dripping fucking wet.
You need a towel, bro?
Yes.
You need a towel for that MF drip?
Yes.
The Godfather
That is a
makes
nice
Tanner
tune.
dripping wet.
That's the title for the video. Frito-Lay, more like Frito-Lame.